Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Hi everyone, Daphne Lage here. Join Nita Lanning and me on the Ragin' to the Vlogs show, where we talk about everything, nothing, and all the bits in between. Looking for hour-long conversations about indie comics, social media marketing, and crowdfunding, with the occasional rant and story time? Head on over to the Ragin' 2 channel on YouTube, Mondays through Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern to join in the chat.
Hit the button.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Not at all. We communicate quite well, I think. We might talk over each other every now and then, but we get along. Welcome, everybody. I am R.J. Carter. With me, we have Mr. James Lee, the guy who runs DC Comics.
The way it's going, I may end up owning DC Comics.
Hey, I think if I search under the couch cushions and toss in with you, we might be able to walk away with it. We got Mr. Mike Walters from the Mike Stand over on YouTube. Welcome, Mike.
Hello, everybody. RJ. Okay, I'll wait till.
No, go on.
I was going to ask because aren't you going to need to update one of those little promos that you just did?
Hope not.
I may be wrong because I may be thinking of somebody else, but the one with Daphne Lage and Nita Lanning, didn't one of them just pass?
No.
That's probably somebody else I was thinking of then.
Well, one of them did not pass, but Meredith Laughlin did pass, and that was Nita's former co-host.
Okay.
Daphne is the new co-host.
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
This is the updated promo for them.
Okay.
And Mr. George Peter Gatsis, how are you, sir?
Good. Gonna have to update my promo too.
Did you die?
No, because I passed.
Gas doesn't count, George.
Oh, okay.
So,
no, we meant something. We meant another meaning of the word "pass" there,
yeah.
George.
I got
hey, Gregory's in here. Hey, Gregory.
I haven't even looked at the comments yet. I got to click over out here. Hey, Greg Levitt. Hey, man, how you doing? Great big hail right back at you, sir.
Yeah, we were actually on Dark Gifts channel the other on Monday night. I popped in there for a little bit. Of course, wasn't aware you were required to sing when you went on there, but
he did a karaoke and I missed it.
Oh no, you missed it. Mike ruled the night.
Oh, I did miss it then.
Oh, Mike ruled the night. He did an epic 1960s marvelous cartoon opening songs. It was fucking glorious.
I'm going back and watch. We could EFAP that. I've never EFAP'd before.
Okay, let's EFAP that. Let's bring it into this channel.
Well, before I get onto that, I want to mention that
Mike, find the link.
Find the link. Link. Send me the link.
Well, I thought RJ was going to do that.
No. We're gonna have.
You
to
send me the link and I'll bring it up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to suffer by you giving us the link.
Suffer by me. Okay, there, George.
So James, I'm joining. I'm getting back into the original art collection game, which I know I'll never catch up with you. I know that.
I have something new since you brought that up.
Oh boy. Well, I collect Batgirl sketches, right?
Oh yes.
Can you tell me who the artist is on this Batgirl sketch?
Tim Lim?
Actually,
Tim Lim.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought I saw that being drawn online on a stream.
Oh, I don't know that he drew it on a stream. He drew it in like 2 hours at the Northwest Arkansas Con yesterday.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Very nice. That is a cute one.
I liked it. I was like, I just asked him. I said, why I always get Batgirl because it started an accidental collection. He's like the 66 one. I'm like, the only one that's the real one. He's like, I can do that. I can do the 66 one. I'm like, so yeah, it was great. I met him and Mark Pellegrini and Douglas Ernst. They were all at the Iconic Comics. There were only 3 comic book publishers at the comic convention. The rest of it was crocheted dolls and Funko Pops and action figures. And
so it was not that big of a comic. It was more of a Toy Story.
It was a big convention. I mean, they had comic book related stuff. They had,
Did you,
RJ, I just put it in the private chat for you.
Got there. They had who's the guy who played Lex Luthor? I forgot his name now.
which movie?
In which
Smallville.
production?
Smallville.
Oh, okay.
Michael Rosenblum.
Yeah, I was going Michael Rosenbaum, but I couldn't get the last name out. They had several voice actors there.
Who also voiced the Flash in Justice League
Yep.
Unlimited, by the way. And Flash and Teen Titans.
Okay. All right, Joe. I got one for you.
Okay, let's see it. Here comes we get the big screen here. Is that Brian Pulido?
It is autographed by Brian, but it's not his artwork. But this is a cover. This is a cover from Lady Death.
Lady Death? Who is this Lady Death you speak of?
The one that started off by Stephen Hughes, created back in the 90s. May he rest in peace. With Chaos Comics.
That's a big, beautiful picture there. See, I got to get through the ad. Don't mind me.
I put the link to Dark Gift Show in the private chat for you.
Yeah, I'm watching it now. I just got to get to
it. Did you timestamp it?
I don't know how to timestamp, George.
Jeez, man.
You got to. Mike doesn't know how to run the music in the background of a StreamYard. Come on.
I do now. I actually did do that. I did figure that out.
See, that's not so hard. I should have said Mike doesn't know how to put thumbnails on his video, but.
Hey, Pops.
I'm flying blind here because I'm over here. I'm watching Piper sing right now. Now Greg's on the guitar.
No, that's before that. You have to go to the beginning.
Wait, he was at the beginning?
Yeah.
Well, I did it twice. I actually
wait, Mike. Wait. Look for my icon, and the moment I pop out, that's when Mike pops in.
Okay. I'm watching your icon, and there's Mike. Mike is right next to you. So I'm just going to.
That's it, right there.
So I assume he'll get the top billing whenever he starts singing. See, I've got it muted so that you guys don't have to put up with this. But let's see here.
Best friend they get here. We will start with George.
All right.
And then we'll do Mike. And then hopefully he'll be here by then.
First of all, we're going to share because...
Let me just ask them real quick, Dark Gift. Does it matter what I sing, or I don't think we want to sing the same thing again that I just did, but
no, we can do the same thing. It doesn't matter. Like Doc, whenever he pops on.
Hey, somebody mute themselves.
Sentences and just dip off. So
that's usually my mic check song when I'm like getting ready for my StreamYard.
So you just I don't even care if you say so long, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye, and then drop off. You could do that, or you just have to.
I'm waiting to hear George sing
before you leave. That's basically it. Like, one little ditty. All right, so George, sing your joke.
Oh, geez. No, skip this.
Wife, I'd buy her a diamond necklace for her birthday. She said nothing will please her more, so I bought her nothing instead.
Oh my God!
That's a good George joke.
Said it, but it was hilarious. And he leaves. All right, Mike. Let's hear what you got. Here we go.
When Captain America throws his mighty shield.
Okay, come on, mute.
I have my thing muted. In the red and the white and the blue it comes true when Captain America throws his mighty shield.
Tony Stark makes you feel he's a cool exec with the hottest wheels. As Iron Man, all jets aflame, he fights and fights with repulsor rays. Amazing power, it's Iron Man. Amazing power, it's Iron Man. Doc Bruce Banner, belted by gamma rays, turned into the Hulk. Ain't he just gallantly wrecking the town with the powerful? You know, ain't so monsterful. Who isn't lovable? The ever-loving Hulk. Hulk, Hulk. Cross the rainbow bridge of Asgard, where the blue means heaven's roar. And behold, incredulous wonder, the god of thunder, mighty Thor. Stronger than a whale, he can swim anywhere. He can breathe underwater and go flying through the air. Noble submariner, prince of the deep, so beware of deadly demons. Lord Namor of Atlantis is the prince of the deep.
I can't believe you remembered all the words to that stuff, man. That was awesome. Hold on one second.
Do you know what that's from? Do you know what that's from?
Isn't that the Saturday morning cartoons?
Well, kind of. It was from the 1966 Marvel Superheroes cartoon.
Everybody can unmute now. I took care of muting everybody for you.
That was glorious, wasn't it?
That orange, man.
That was wonderful. Before my time, that was wonderful.
That was beautiful. He did everything except Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit about that even after that, too.
Spider-Man was by himself.
That's true. He was. Still 67 Spider-Man, because I have that collection on DVD. Mike, do you have a singing channel to which I can subscribe? Intense Webs would like to know.
No, I don't.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. It's the mic stand on.
I've heard him sing on the mic stand.
Sometimes
the only two old Marvel cartoons that I actually have, I've got the X-Men, Pride of the X-Men, which is the pilot that Kitty Pryde comes in on. Then I have Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Birth of a Firestar.
Yeah, the six, even though they were originally produced in the Marvel Superheroes and the Spider-Man cartoon that RJ just mentioned, they were both produced originally in the late '60s by Grantway Lawrence Animation up in Canada. Yes, they Marvel Superheroes was 1966. Amazing Spider-Man was 1967. They were still running in syndication well into the '80s.
Oh yeah, they were.
Oh yeah,
and they had that Crash Cargo animation.
It was before my time too, James. It was technically before my time too, but they were still running in syndication, so I watched them.
I remember.
I watched Yogi Bear and a lot of Hanna-Barbera stuff. Just like I watched some Warner Brothers stuff. All that
was so great about back in the '70s and '80s. You had the local television stations picking and choosing what they were going to show, because all they had to show on the national scene, like ABC, NBC, and CBS, would be after 6:30 p.m. Standard Time, because then you would get that. But everything else during the day, it was all theirs. They could do whatever they wanted to. So most of the days, except for Saturday morning. Now Saturday was a different thing, but on weekdays, starting at 2:30 to 5 o'clock, there would just be all cartoons on all three channels.
Yep, on the weekday afternoons, you'd get home and
right after school,
you'd run home to catch them.
Yeah, you'd sit there for 2 hours watching cartoons. Then you do your homework. Then you'd eat. Then you go out and play. And then you come home and crash and burn.
Yeah. Intense Webs. I'm actually 46. So I'm middle age, yes, but I'm not like
the baby.
Old. But the thing is too is that a lot of those cartoons that came out in the 60s and that originally came out in like the late 50s, 60s, 70s, they were still running in syndication in the 80s. So as James had just mentioned, you would have like during the week. Now here where I am in Southern California, they would run from like 3 to 5 in the afternoon. You'd have two blocks. You'd have the morning block, which is usually 6 to
6 to 8, 6 to 9, and then you'd have the afternoon block that was like 3 to 5.
Yeah,
And
basically.
you'd have Saturday morning, which you'd have from like 7 to like 11, usually on the 3 main networks.
Yeah.
That was the Saturday morning cartoon.
It's not what I thought it would taste like.
Who was that?
Mystery voice. Yeah,
dinner.
Oh, dinner! You got to go eat.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I'm here. We're here.
Dinner comes to you. Do you remember an early 1970s cartoon called "Wait Until Your Father Gets Home"?
Nope. I don't.
I never watched it. I've heard of it, and actually, right now in 2022, I know that one of the cable channels has had more recent. I don't know if they're still doing it at this moment, but they were showing episodes of that. You know, and I do know that Tom Bosley was the father in that. He voiced the father.
Now, for me, the cartoons I remember as a little kid growing up, besides Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes, you know, those were the two big ones on Saturday mornings. You had to catch those two shows. But weekdays coming home, we had Captain Harlock and the Queen of 1,000 Years. We had Star Blazers. We had Battle of the Planets. And then we had the Space Ghost Herculoids Power Hour. We had, and that was what we had. That's what we watched on weekdays. And then on that was up until I would say probably 82, 83. And then they rolled out Robotech and Thundercats and all, you know.
You had a syndicated channel that the guy loved his anime because you were getting a lot of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing was the guy in Amarillo, because now you got to understand something about Amarillo back in the 70s, 80s. We were a mecca for wrestling. You know, the Funk Brothers had their NWA promotion going, and you would see
Western states closed in 81.
You'd have the Japanese wrestlers come in, so, you know, and they would do promos for Japan using the stations there in Amarillo. So they would have some Japanese programming, just, you know, they make a deal with TV Tokyo and stuff.
So that was more the 70s that they were doing that.
They did some in the 80s too. But I'm saying it was a really
up until 81, because 81 was when they closed.
No, I mean, no, Funks were still going. I mean, the Funk Brothers still had their promotion going.
They didn't. The promotion was closed. What was probably happening was Southwest. It was either Southwest Championship Wrestling or another organization had taken over that portion of territory.
What I'm saying is, George, they still had the big shows in Amarillo.
I'm Mike, not George.
I mean, I'm sorry, Mike, because I mean I lived there.
We look alike. See.
So I mean, I was going to the shows. I know what they did there. You know, so. But yeah, you'd have.
I'm not saying they didn't have shows. I'm just saying that there was a different promotion running those shows than what you're thinking.
I know who the booker was. I can tell you who the booker was. It was Dory Funk Jr. He was the booker. He was the one that was in charge of everything.
Oh wait a minute! Wasn't those shows controlled by the Corleone family?
No, I mean everything. George.
These guys?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They took over the market for a short time.
Yeah.
According to most wrestling records, Western Sports, NWA Western Sports, which was the promotion that the Funk family ran, they actually sold it to Bob Windham and Dick Murdoch in '78, and then they ran it for like about 2 or 3 years, and then Ricky Romero and Nick Kozak bought it back. Now maybe the Funks in 80, 81 were booking it, but they were. By then I don't think they had owned it because they were obligated elsewhere. They had other.
You had to understand back then also because of what was going on in Amarillo, and this is the big thing. There was a shift. Yeah, I remember the shift because at that point you had more of the Guerreros coming up. You had the Youngbloods coming in. You had more of the Lucha stuff coming in. No, I'm not.
Wasn't Ricky Morello father of Ricky Lake?
George. But you have a lot of the Luchas coming in at that time as well. I know Haystacks Calhoun was living up there because he was actually our next door neighbor. So there was stuff going on. I remember, I want to say it was 80, was it 83 that this happened? Yeah, it was 1983. They had a flight come in, the plane broke down, and they did a show because they had Flair there, they had Andre there, they had, who was it? Who else was up there? Hacksaw was there. Some of the bigger guys from New York was in. So they just put on a show. They did not advertise it. They advertised it that afternoon, so like 2 hours before the show was going to take place, because it was just a spur of the moment deal. They had nothing planned or anything, and 3,000 people showed up at the arena to see it, which was a good, for 2 hour promotion. And the place got bigger and bigger as the night went on, with more people coming in. So it was, there was stuff like that going around all over the place.
Well, wasn't there a family of wrestlers that were called taking a lot of the action away from everybody else? Weren't they? I forgot their name. What was it? The Moocher family?
Oh, the McMahons? Are you talking about the McMahons?
No,
Yes,
I was a little later. Though.
That's 3, George.
they were Mucho Libres. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. So you picked up on that.
I know. Yeah, I mean, you said I know where you're going.
Oh, yeah, I have not followed wrestling in so many years, but I do know that Razor Ramon has.
Scott Hall.
Scott Hall passed away.
And be frank.
Wait, Razor Ramon, did he die of suicide?
No, George. Okay, hold on. Let me explain what happened with Scott Hall. Scott Hall went into Georgia. It was in Georgia. He went in for hip surgery. He had complications with the hip surgery that caused a blood clot that went into his heart. He had 3 massive heart attacks, and he didn't survive the heart attacks. And that's what got him. It was complications with the hip surgery is what killed him. He never got out of the hospital.
Yeah. Right. He had developed a stroke.
No, it wasn't a stroke.
It was a heart attack. It was a blood clot. I was thinking blood clot.
Yeah, the blood clot.
And it caused him to have 3 heart attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just said that.
Yeah, that's what took him out.
The thing I remember about Scott Hall was back in the formation of the NWO, when he and Kevin Nash showed up on WCW.
Yeah, that was a game changer. That
was a game changer. But the thing I remember most was the fact that they were Diesel and Razor Ramon on WWF, as it was called at the time. And WWF still owned the rights to the names Diesel and Razor Ramon. They didn't go with the wrestler. So they hired look-alike wrestlers to take those names.
Actually, what's kind of funny, too, the guy who was a fake Diesel later went on to become
Kane.
Who we now know as Kane.
Yeah. Clint Jacobs.
Yeah. But just to give you a brief history on Scott Hall's career here, because yes, probably his two most well-known famous stints are his time as Razor Ramon from 92 to 96, as well as his time in from 96 to 2001, and his third stint with WCW, by the way. In essence, his career actually started in the mid 80s in 84 and 85, teaming with Dan Spivey as American Starship, as Starship's as American Coyote and American Coyote. I can't even remember the other name now, but
his first big break was in the AWA. He was teamed with Kurt Hennig.
Right, I was just getting to that, James.
Because this I got from back then.
Yes, he and Kurt Hennig had won the AWA World Tag Team Champion, beating Steve Regal, not Lord Steven Regal. But
if you want to look at something, look at what Scott Hall looked like before he became Razor Ramon.
Which one is he?
The one on the right there. Kurt Hennig's on the left.
I see it.
But he didn't talk like that, like Scott Hall. He was completely different. His hair was curly. He wore the trademark like Dusty Rhodes cowboy boots in the ring, And yeah, he was a completely
In
different
fact,
guy.
he was utilizing, I think, like a second rope bulldog at the time as his finisher.
Yeah, and the thing is he was a big guy. I mean, he was a lot bigger. He dropped weight when he went to WWE. He dropped quite a bit of weight because he was almost as big as Scott Hall. I mean Kevin Nash. Sorry about that. He was almost as big as Kevin Nash in the AWA.
He was 6. His listed numbers were 6'7", 287.
But I'm saying, yeah, his weight in the AWA, he was huge. He was.
Yeah,
big.
I do remember seeing some old footage of him from the AWA. As I said, probably his biggest accomplishment, as I said, was winning the AWA World Tag Team Championships with Kurt Hennig.
And they feud with it wasn't Black Bart, it was Wild Bill Irwin and was it Bart?
No, you're probably thinking the Irwin brothers because around that time.
Well, it wasn't.
Yeah, I think around that time, both Irwin brothers were teaming together and wrestling in the AWA at the time. Bill and Scott Irwin were. This was before Bill went on to become an enhancement talent in some of the other NWA territories.
And then that's when Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels showed up as the Midnight Rockers.
Right.
And then you had
Speaking of rock, I found one.
Good. And then you also had the Midnight. It wasn't the Midnight Express. It was because it was Paul Heyman's first team that he worked with.
It was actually
Pat Tanaka
Express, but it wasn't Eaton and Lane.
No. It was his first team was Pat Tanaka and Paul Diamond.
Paul Diamond and Pat Tanaka. Yeah,
they were the tag team.
But they were not. They didn't actually have a team name. I think they were just simply called Diamond and Tanaka. They didn't have.
They did have a name because Paul Heyman was known as Paulie Dangerously, and
maybe they were at the time referred to as the Dangerous Alliance.
I'm not sure, but them and the Midnight Rockers, which became the Rockers, had a big feud in the AWA. And it's really funny because when you go look at everybody that came out of the AWA that made basically WWF, I mean, if Vern would have been smarter and knew how to market and knew how to do television stuff, the WWE would have never become what it is today.
Well, it wasn't just that. It wasn't just that caused the demise of the AWA. What a lot of people have said over the years is one of the other big issues why the AWA ended up kind of folding, or the original AWA ended up folding, was because Vern had refused to kind of change with the times.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. He just didn't want to change. He didn't want to change marketing. He didn't want to do television the way everybody else was doing, and he just didn't want to do it.
Well, he didn't want to necessarily market. Like you look at the whole situation with Hulk Hogan when he was there in the AWA.
Well, the thing about Hogan was when he first started, he was very stiff, and because you got to remember when he first went to WWF the first time, he was not liked and he was booed out of the building. He went back to the AWA. It was the second time that he came into WWF that he got Vince Jr. took him and got him where he was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really weird when you go look at the matches and stuff. There's matches where you had, and this actually happened, and they still have the contract, so Vince can still do this. The NWA and the WWF had matches where they had the champions face each other in the ring. Backlund took on you have Bob Backlund taking on Harley Race. You got Bob Backlund taking on Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you have those matches, and as of right now, Vince McMahon does have in his possession an open contract that he could have the NWA World Championship title up for grabs in a match in any one of his.
I don't know if he could pull that off though.
No, it's legally binding. It's legally binding. It's a legal binding.
Changed hands though.
Doesn't matter because
wouldn't that have been voided as the company had changed hands?
No,
Yeah.
By law,
It's a contract with the entity that's the corporation.
It's the corporation entity. So Billy Corgan would have to agree to it. That's why if you go back and look at the 90s, like the end of 90s, when they did the NWA invasion on WWE television, they had the NWA tag team titles and WWE Raw match on Raw.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why you incorporate. In fact, there was a situation, 25 years ago where a guy owed me a certain substantial amount of money for doing work for his company, and he'd been very behind on the payments of it with some bounced checks and things. And then I got the wind that he was selling the company to somebody, and I called that person. I said, "Hey, when you buy the company, are you taking on all the debts?" And he's like, "I've been told it's debt free." I'm like, "No, here's my paperwork," which at that time was actually a court document because I'd gone to small claims court, and it had. He said, "Well, did you sue the guy or did you sue the company?" I'm like, "I've got all the DBAs right here." He's like, "Give me 10 minutes." And 10 minutes later, the original owner called me up to settle the debt so that he could sell the company because the guy wasn't going to buy it if the debts were still attached to it. So because he would have been responsible for them, they went with the company.
Okay.
But yeah, on that document, it is a legal binding document. Billy Corgan would have to agree to it. But the other thing about it is it falls under the NWA rules. So the booking of the match would not fall to Vince; it would fall to the people of the NWA.
So even if Vince did decide to try to force that contract,
well, what I'm saying
he could
he couldn't take the title. Yeah, he couldn't take the title, but he could still have it where you saw the NWA World Champion. Just like if you didn't notice the other night when they did the Battle Royals, the King of the Ring Battle Royale, when Mickey Jade came out, did you see what she was holding? She had the TNA Impact Women's title around her waist when she came out. She's the acting Impact Women's World Champion. And she took part.
Not now.
No, but I'm saying when that match took place, she was.
Yeah.
So you have that. Now, here's another news. Gail Kim has showed up in Stardom. If you didn't know that.
I don't know what Stardom is, but
Stardom is the Japanese promotion, female wrestling promotion that New Japan Pro Wrestling has. This is where you had all Io Shirai, Gail Kim, Asuka, all those Japanese girls came out of there. Kairi Sane has shown back up in Stardom. She's actually going to be on their big show coming up. Also, Shinsuke Nakamura has been asking to take part in the big 50th anniversary production of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So Vince may let him go do that. That's why he dropped the title to Sami Zayn.
Well, I have heard a little bit that New Japan's been working again with WWE. They had a working agreement from 75 to 85. I know that they were starting to recently. They've been starting to do some stuff together.
Well, you know about the talk about they had Liger. They got Liger for NXT a few years ago.
I hadn't heard that, but
oh yeah, he showed up in Madison Square Garden. Back I want to say about 5 years ago. And this is what happened when they did the big match between Ballard and Kevin Owens in Tokyo, where Ballard took the title off of Kevin Owens. Liger was there. He was invited by Ballard because Ballard was trained by Liger. Well, William Regal and Liger are real close friends. And so, Regal was like, "Hey, would you do something for me?" And he was like, "What do you want?" He was like, "Would you come do a match for NXT?" And Liger was like, "Well, you need to talk with, the bookers at New Japan." And he was like, "Okay." And since Regal knew everybody in New Japan, and you got to understand something, Regal has more connections than anybody in wrestling. And
just to be clear, we're talking about William Regal here,
correct.
aka Darren Matthews. Okay,
yeah, correct.
As I mentioned earlier, there was another Regal named Steve Regal.
He is a very beloved wrestler, and everybody loves him. So he went and talked to Triple H. They got him for one night. So what they did was they built him. They built him up. He came out, did his match, he won. And then he came back in. That was it. The reason they did that was Triple H and William Regal wanted to put Liger in the Hall of Fame, but Liger had never wrestled in anything for WWE. Now Fujinami had. That's how come Fujinami got in. But Liger didn't. So they did this match so they could get Liger into the Hall of Fame. Which Liger's in the Hall of Fame.
How'd they get Abdul the Butcher in then? Because as I understand it,
78 and 79. No, 78 and 79. Abdullah was in Madison Square Garden.
Okay, I'd never heard or seen that, but I didn't even know he had.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you somebody nobody else ever saw was the steel cage match in Madison Square Garden between Kamala the Ugandan Giant and Andre the Giant, where Andre superplexed Kamala off the top rope. Nobody talks about that. And
well, yeah, because Vince Senior never wanted Andre. Now Andre had the athletic ability to do stuff like drop kicks and stuff like that, but Vince Senior never actually wanted him to do that, feeling that might take away from some of the mystique of him being a giant.
Right, and same thing in the match. Camilla picked up Andre. People, this thing about Hogan was the first. No, there's a bunch of people that body slammed Andre. If John,
I believe I did read one report that even El Canek of Mexico in a Lucha Libre match had actually body slammed Andre as well.
No, that's a different nutball altogether. Wouldn't know her. But
ha, Woody. No, I think she pronounced her name Kamala, where what we're talking about is Kamala, the Ugandan giant.
Yeah, she became Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, actually, since we were talking about a few minutes ago the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, that might be a good segue into talking about what's been going on this weekend at the Nashville Fairgrounds, in Nashville, Tennessee, as the current NWA, under the ownership of Billy Corgan, has been having its Crockett Cup event. They had, they'd done the majority of their tournament yesterday, Crockett Cup tag team tournament itself. Today, go ahead.
Why is it a Crockett Cup and not a Crockett Tub?
Because it's a nice, beautiful gold cup that you get for winning it.
Yeah, it's a tag team tournament that actually was started up in the late 87 or around there. Ran for a couple of years, and in honor of Jim Crockett Sr., who was the original promoter in the Mid-Atlantic area, where tag team wrestling was strongly emphasized.
The two, if you were a tag team, you wanted to be in the AWA or the NWA. You didn't want to be in the WWE. Even today, the WWE has one of the weakest tag team divisions ever. Vince does not like tag teams. And I'll explain why. Because in the old system, you got paid for your matches. Well, you paid per wrestler. If you're a singles wrestler and you had a mid-card match, you'd make probably around $500. If you're a tag team, you got paid. Each person got paid $300. The difference was you were paying a lot more, an extra $200, $300 to have the tag team match than you were the singles match. Now, when it came to the Rock and Roll Express versus Midnight Express, of course, NWA was like, yeah, because they'll sell out, the Coliseum, the Fairgrounds.
Well, those two teams were probably one of the biggest rivalries throughout the 80s there.
Yeah,
particularly with the Midnight Express, whichever incarnation you had, whether it was the original of Condrey and Rose to Condrey and Eaton to Eaton and Lane. So you had three different pairings there that all proved to be incredible. Well,
and you got to look at, you also have Jim Cornette. Now, as much as everybody hates him, back then, even today, he can talk. You look at the best three talkers when it comes to managing. Number one, Bobby Heenan. Number two, Jim Cornette. Number three, Paul Heyman. You get those three guys, and you got gold. Bobby Heenan's left us because of throat cancer. Rest in peace. But yeah, Jim Cornette, Paul Heyman, yeah, just let him go.
Okay.
But I was going to say that Mystic, that one where Vince got basically they were out in the ring and Paul just chewed Vince up one side and down the other. The story behind that is they had a 20-minute segment, and Paul said, I can go out there and just rip you a new one. And Vince was like, it's going to get over. And he goes, yeah, it'll get over. And he goes, go for it. And Vince went out there knowing full well what was going to happen. And when they got in the back, Vince was more than happy because he got the crowd reaction he wanted. That's the whole thing. Vince is not, when it comes to business, Vince is very, very good at it. And he knows what he's doing. The only problem is now, because he's getting older and everything like that, he's starting to miss things.
Well, Stephanie will step in. Her company. Mr. Yanafui, yeah, while they're talking about the NWA wrestling, I was at the Northwest Arkansas Comic-Con yesterday. It was also today, but I didn't go today. And there were no mask restrictions. There were a few people with masks on who were not cosplayers, and then some people with masks on who were cosplayers. But most of it was free and open exchange of people wandering about. And while I was there, I bought myself a Firestorm #1 because if you buy the current thing where somebody's died, they can change that. They can't make Firestorm appear before he appeared. #1s are always #1s. And then I met some indie creators like this guy who's doing John Carter Warlord of Mars stuff based on the first 3 public domain novels. This one's called He May Yet Conquer. It's an oversized book, as you can see. Met up with the folks at Flatline Comics who were doing horror books called The Vicious Circus. This is the first trade paperback collection there. And, you might be familiar in certain circles with these Soul Finder books by one Mr. Douglas Ernst with art by Matthew Weldon. So Matthew Weldon and Tim Lim, depending on which of the issues you get. So yes, it was a fun convention. I met up with Geek Hero Bubba from Twitter. We found out that we were both in the same place and met up over some lunch and some nachos, exchanged stories, walked around, shopped. It was a fun time. And like I said on Twitter, after meeting Doug and Mark Pellegrini and Tim and Geek Hero Bubba, some of these electronic voices online have become real people. And, we should have more days like that where we realize, hey, there's a human being behind the words that have typed to us.
Yeah. Well, we know that from our exchanges online here, that there are definitely, and we know that here because RJ, you, myself, and James, we're 3 people who don't use avatars. We actually show our real faces.
Oh yeah, but it's real easy to fly off the handle at somebody and lay into them through a Twitter exchange, and it's different when you're like, I've actually sat down with this person, so there's a chance I may do this again. Maybe I should think about what I'm talking.
That's what's so fun about conventions, and I'm going to be at the convention in Arlington, Texas, on the 14th and 15th of April, which is Easter weekend. So I'll be there. But that looks like it's going to be a really good show coming up. So we're going to have a lot of people at that one. That's at the Bob Duncan Center. So I did the one last year, and I did really good there. So fantastic on that. But the thing about going to conventions is you get to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
You don't need Twitter.
I wanted to get a table at this one. I knew it existed. I missed it last year because, hey, NWA convention, y'all don't have the greatest contact links on any of your pages. I did not know how to reach you at all. But this year I found out like Wednesday that it existed, that it was going on because Doug Ernst tweeted, said, hey, I'm going to be at the NWA con. I'm flying out tonight. I'm like, oh, crap, that's now.
Oh, yeah. So, what's kind of funny, too, because I'd seen I was talking to RJ earlier about this. I'd seen some of the videos he had posted from the NWA Comic Con, and I wasn't sure what I eventually realized it was probably Northwest Arkansas he was talking about, but for a while there I was thinking, I didn't know the National Wrestling Alliance had a Comic Con.
And
I know
I told him, I said, hey,
at wrestling conventions, I do know that.
Booker T was there, as was Ted DiBiase. So
yep.
I did get to see Booker T. I didn't go up and see him because, they were still, you got on a line and then there was like a cash exchange that would take place at the end of this line. I'm like, yeah. I really wanted to talk to Michael Rosenbaum, but, I'd already, paid for my ticket and bought the Batgirl and some comics. I was like, $60 cash for a signature on a photo. Not the same thing for me. Because I'd rather had him on the show.
Yeah. So to go back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago with the Crockett Cup event going on this weekend, the semifinals and finals of the Crockett Cup tournament are taking place today. And in the semifinals, you do have the NWA, the current reigning NWA World Tag Team Champion, La Rebellion, taking on the team that has now been christened the Commonwealth Connection, Harry Smith and Doug Williams. Now, Harry Smith is a replacement, as Nick Aldis was originally going to team with Doug Williams as the British Invasion, but Aldis decided to cash in a rematch clause that he was owed after dropping the title to Trevor Murdoch.
And he's going to face Cardona, yeah.
And I'm going to get to that pretty quickly here. And then the other semifinal match, you have a team calling themselves the Cardonas, part of Matt Cardona's faction. Team comprised
I try to keep up with the Cardonas.
A team comprised of Mike Knox and BSK taking on the Briscoe brothers. The Briscoe brothers are a longtime, well-known East Coast independent tag team, having won several independent tag team championships, including Ring of Honor.
They've been a mainstay for Ring of Honor for years. The Briscoes been with Ring of Honor. I'm going to say
they've been all over, up and down the East Coast there.
They've also held the 6-man tag title in New Japan.
Yeah, with Bully Ray.
No, they're with Yano.
That's another 6-man title. I'm probably thinking of FIP. I think.
Yeah, no, there was Yano on that one.
Yeah. Let's see. Also going on today, tonight, actually right now as we're speaking, in fact, a number of the NWA titles are on the line.
I think all of them are.
Huh?
I think all of them are. The women's title, the national title, and the world title.
Oh, yes. Okay, so in the main event for the night, you have Aldis going up against Cardona defending against Nick Aldis with Jeff Jarrett, another former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, as special guest referee. You have, for the World Women's title, you have a triple threat match between Camilla, Smiley Kylie Ray, and Chelsea Green. Now, originally, the match was supposed to just be Kylie Ray and Camilla, but Chelsea Green being Matt Cardona's, I guess, wife, Cardona basically pulled some strings to get Chelsea Green and his team into the Crockett Cup tournament as NWA World Heavyweight Champion by basically threatening to no-show the event.
He's a heel. That's what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, but there's a historical thing about that, and I guess that Billy Corgan doesn't do this practice anymore. Traditionally, what the NWA used to do, and I guess Billy Corgan doesn't do it anymore, is anytime you were slated to become the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, you had to put down I think a $2,500.
That's gone a long time ago. I know exactly what you're talking about, and this is where and this goes all the way back to Tony Wildfire Rich. But
it goes back even before that.
No, this is where it came to the public's knowledge. But because of the belt's actually gold, the belt is gold. You had to put a deposit down at $25,000. Well, Tommy Wildfire Rich was a 19-year-old kid. He didn't have the money. Harley Race wanted to put the belt on him, so Harley told him to keep his $25,000 as a deposit for Tommy Wildfire Rich to hold the belt for a while. Now, I mean, there's a couple of stories about Time Wildfire Rich, and one of them, besides that one, is the one with him and Abdullah the Butcher. And that's an interesting story because it was Abdullah the Butcher that put Time Wildfire Rich over when he was really young to get him to become the big star he was in the early 80s. If it wasn't for Abdullah the Butcher, Time Wildfire Rich would have never become anything.
Well, yeah. Well, Tommy Rich had a 4-day reign in 1981.
Yeah, because it was Harley. Because Harley wanted to do it.
Yeah, there was some other political stuff.
No, I mean, but Harley had to agree to it, and Harley really liked Tommy because Tommy would do everything that he was asked of, and he would fill in. Like, this is what happened. This is how all this stuff went down with Time Wildfire Rich. Tommy had gotten into the territory he'd only been there for a couple of weeks. He hadn't got over anything like that, and the person that was supposed to wrestle Abdullah didn't show up, and Harley was there, and Harley just told told Tommy to go out with him, and Tommy was just scared to death of Abdullah, and Abdullah said, "You go out with me tonight, and work with me tonight, and then later down the line, I will pay you back for it for when you're working with me, like payback, like yes, I'm going to help you out." So Tommy went out there, and he was like 18 and 3 months, so he was really young, and Abdullah beat that living hoo-ha out of him, just busted him open, the whole Abdullah thing like that. Comes back, and Harley was just thrilled that he did it. Harley was like, yeah, we're going to go. So it was like, I want to say it was like almost a year when they met up in South Carolina, and it was going to be Abdullah was going to wrestle, Tommy Rich, and Abdullah walked up to him and goes, "I'm going to pay you back tonight." And Tommy was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to pay you back tonight." And they did this 60-minute match outside the ring, through the crowd, the whole thing like that. And Abdullah laid down for Tommy to get Tommy over. And it made Tommy this big, Southern star, the whole thing. And then I think it was like,
it launched his career, and he became a big star throughout Georgia and Tennessee.
Yeah, it was because of that one match, and that's when Harley decided, later down the line to put the title on him. That's what you call paying a due, and then everybody pays you back. That was the way they did it back in those days. Young kid coming up, big star wants to work with you, go out and do it because they'll pay you back later on. And that's what they did. Right. And Terry and Dory would do that all the time. Mm-hmm. Terry and Dory Funk would do that all the time.
Yeah. So getting to some of the other big matches for the Crockett Cup too, the Women's World Tag Team Championship is on the line, as well as the team known as the Hex. Allison Kay and Marty Bell will be defending against a relatively new team, but still a team that's made a name for itself on the independent circuit. Kenzie Page and Ella Envy. You also have in the match for the World Television title, Tyrus, representing Idol Sports Management. Austin Idol as a manager here. Now, you guys might know Tyrus either from his stint in the WWE as Brodus Clay, or if anybody here watches Fox at all, Fox News.
He's on Greg's show.
Yeah, he's on Greg Gutfeld's show. That guy. He's defending the World Television Championship against Rodney Mack.
Yeah.
And then you also have the reestablishment of the junior heavyweight title as a fatal 4-way to crown a new junior heavyweight. Now, the title was initially dissolved, I think, back in 2015 before.
No, when Corgan took the company over, it was he dissolved all the titles. He stripped everybody because Barrett Brown was the acting champion. I was at the match when he got the title. I was.
Yeah, I do remember reading in the annals that Barrett Brown was like the last junior heavyweight.
Yeah, he had it, and that's when Jack Stain was world champion before Jack Stain dropped the title to Tim Storm.
Yeah. So in that though, so the 4 guys who are actually participating in this fatal 4-way for the world junior heavyweight title are Austin Aries, second generation wrestler, Colby Carino, the son of former NWA world heavyweight champion Steve Carino, Darius Lockhart, and Homicide and Hernandez of Latin American Exchange fame from TNA. And then for the national heavyweight championship, you have the guy who was formerly known as Crimson, Anthony Mayweather, defending against former NWA World, National, and Tag Team Champion Jax Dane, as well as a former NWA North American Heavyweight Champion.
Well, Jax Dane's also NWA World Champion too.
I did say he was a former World Heavyweight Champion.
Okay, you got him. He's had that title. He's had the national title. He's held the tag team title with Rob Conway.
Mm-hmm.
So
and the North American Heavyweight title.
Yeah, he's held quite a few titles in NWA.
Basically, you could argue that he's one of the few, I guess, Grand Slam winners in the NWA right now.
Yeah. Jax did. Tim Storm did. Rob didn't, but Rob's held the championship and the tag team championship. So. And speaking of that, Rob Conway just got a new job as a trainer for the Performance Center in WWE. You didn't know that, so that's where he's at.
Yeah. But it just goes to show
who these people are.
Well, I mean, I know pretty much everybody he's talked about, even Rob Conway and Jax Dane. When I worked for the NWA, I was their chaperone when they were world champions. So I helped with Tenzin Kojima. I did stuff with Liger, So I know those guys.
Yeah, Nick Aldis back in the late 2000s, along with Doug Williams, they were part of TNA during its time when TNA was actually an NWA affiliate. But at the time, Nick Aldis was known as Magnus at that point.
Yeah.
Matt Cardona, most people would know Matt Cardona better as Zack Ryder from the WWE.
I know. Yeah. The thing about it is when he got released, he was the hottest commodity there out in there, because you gotta understand something about Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona. He really can perform in the ring. He really can go. That's why he stayed so long in the WWE, was because the fans loved him, and they knew he could work with him.
He is one of those guys who surpassed expectations. I mean, I don't think he was the type of guy that Vince really cared for, but he had surpassing all that.
And basically, like with the Ring of Honor, I would not be surprised if Cardona drops the title to Aldis and goes with the new Ring of Honor when they rebuild and becomes the champion for Ring of Honor. I see that. Well,
you know that Tony Khan actually bought Ring of Honor.
That's what I'm saying. The new Ring of Honor. I know all about what Khan did. I also know that Dragon Lee and Rush right now are leaving for Japan to take part in the Junior Cup Japan thing over there with New Japan. So they're not affiliated with Ring of Honor anymore.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is too is that Ring of Honor, including their current champions, are being, profiled primarily on AEW. In fact, it caused a bit of a stir recently. I did an article on this, or I read an article from Bounding into Comics on this. So some of the higher ups at Warner Media are preventing All Elite from actually signing the Briscoe brothers, even though they're the current ROH tag team champions, because of old comments.
I know what his old I know what the old comments are, and it was part of them being their heels, and because Warner Media, which is a bunch of idiots anyway, because they caused the downfall of DC Comics. They do not want the Briscoe brothers because in one of their stints when they were the heel team, they were Southern boys. They did Confederate flag stuff, and said some stuff that was deemed anti-homophobic and stuff like that. So that's what they're like that. And
yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I get that. What I've seen recently what I understand recently with the Briscoe brothers, I guess the angle of them being kind of dem boys doesn't fit with Warner's woke.
Well, yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing with WCW. When Warner Brothers came into WCW, they didn't want WCW at all, and they threw it out the door. When Time Warner took over TBS, and TNT, they threw Warner Brothers, basically WCW, right out the door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's the same thing. Yeah, Terry's not. Terry's doing okay, but he's not. His health is starting to catch up with him, but he's also, he's almost 80 years old. So, and
Yeah,
Dory,
he seems like the timeless warrior Terry Funk does.
no, he's not. He's not wrestling anymore. He's done. He's done. His body's just totally given out on him. He's
Well, of course. I mean, when you're still trying to do moonsaults at like 50 years old, when back in his time in easy, eventually he's gonna break down. I mean, he's taking some of the punishment he took when he was in his 40s and 50s.
Oh no! You look at the stuff he did back in the 80s when he was in his 30s, and I mean he just destroyed himself. And then he comes back out as the hardcore legend, and the only thing that saved him was he knew how to take a bump. Mm-hmm. Because if you watch how he does his bumps, that's picture perfect.
Well, yeah, because prior to the whole hardcore legend aspect of earlier in his career when he was more like back in the 70s, during his title run and back in 77.
Dude, I remember
his early days when he was teaming with his brother, like over in Japan, and in the 70s there in his own territory and all that. He was actually considered one of the top technicians. He was a good.
Oh, he was fantastic. He was fantastic. I mean, I remember seeing him when I was a little kid. When he came to church. Oh, hey, Robert. Okay, let's stop. Let's deal. If we're going to talk comics, I do have some cool stuff.
We're the comic show again? Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, we'll go back on the comics. We'll get off wrestling. Take it.
I'm sitting here thinking I should just give you guys an hour for wrestling and just give control of the channel over.
Well, no, I was pretty much done anyways. I got everything.
I'm waiting for George. I'm waiting for George to freak on this one. But these are some old books I found in my collection, and the covers are fantastic.
I'll be right back.
So, if anybody in chat remembers these books, because honestly, I don't. They're in my collections. I don't remember buying them, but I got a whole bunch of them. But these are Neil Adams's community comics.
Continuity.
Got it. Comics. But I mean, look at these covers. I mean, they're just unbelievable.
Yeah, those covers were done by a bunch of what do you call it? Ghost artists at Neil's continuity.
Well, no, this one here is Walter McDaniel. This one here is. He went on to work with Jim Valentino on Shadowhawk.
Yeah.
So I know this one because I've got another one that he autographed for me. So, but these are. I mean, I've got a whole stack of them, and these are just fantastic. I was going through them. The artwork in this. Oh man, you talk about some amazing artwork.
Well, they were all tasked to draw like Neil Adams.
Yeah, I mean, you have this, and then of course this one here. And
there's something to be said about a house style.
Yeah, you have the two different covers on this one, which are these two here, which you can just see two different backgrounds. But I mean, the bodies, the anatomy, just everything is so fantastic in these comic books. And some of these, I think this one actually. Hold on, let me find it. Where's she at? But I think this one actually predates She. Let me find the right book here. Hold on. I think this predates She. But this one here is just like She, kind of like She, but it predates her.
I remember Marie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tex guy, right? Who draws it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember this coming out. This is the place that predates She. These books are fantastic. I started going through them again, and I'm
wondering why Continuity Comics disappeared.
I just think he didn't have the funding for it, because he still got his website up, for his community. The website is still there. I went over and looked at his website. It's still there, and you can order some stuff from him. And he does commissions and he does work and stuff. So Adams is still working. It's just I think what happened was two things. I think it was like a school project. He was running his school for his artists, and the artist got picked up by everybody else, and he lost his art. Wasn't going to pay like he was paying, like Image would pay or Marvel in DC. and he just didn't have the funding for it.
Well, this is interesting. I just typed in continuitycomics.com.
It's still there.
And no, this one's not. Continuitycomics.com redirects to Jim Weeda's Twitter account. The producer of The Boy 1 and 2, talent manager for Comic Book Guy. I have no idea what this guy does. He's got 2,000 followers, but he's bought the continuitycomics.com URL.
Well, here's something we did to appease one streamer. We chased another one away. I think Woody was enjoying the wrestling stuff there.
Okay, RJ, go to NeilAdams.com.
NeilAdams.com.
Go to NeilAdams.com.
That I believe. Yeah. Now that still says Continuity Studios and Gallery. Yeah.
And you can see all of his stuff that he's working on and everything he's doing. And you can get autographed books from him. He's, he did a issue 1000 with Batman cover.
Bucky O'Hare was Continuity?
Yeah.
God. Only thing I can remember from Continuity was I think this was The Wrath.
Ms. Mystic was there.
She wasn't originally Continuity. She was originally Pacific.
Right, but it was his. So when he launched Continuity, he brought her over.
And then he had Toy Boy, which was sort of like Frankenstein Jr.
Right. But he had hybrids. He had Earth 4. Earth 4 was the one Walter McDaniel also worked on. And then Megalith. Megalith was his basically Superman Hulk character. That he turned into a werewolf. Which I gotta say, the picture of him as a werewolf is unbelievable. It's one of the best werewolf drawings I've ever seen.
And Neil Adams also wrote the very first Werewolf Frankenstein, Dracula crossover.
Yeah.
As a comic book, because
as a comic book, it was never done before that.
I was gonna say if Abbott and Costello showed up, I would have to say that somebody bought a script somewhere. Because they had all shown up in the movie together, Abbott and Costello versus Meet Frankenstein. Yeah, a lot of good stuff here. He's got his old comics up here. A lot of Joker issues.
Yeah,
variant covers. That's what they are.
Yeah, they kind of like Dave Scott over here. At the same time, they get the big stars to come in and do a variant cover so they can get bigger sales. So they give them so many issues of the variant cover.
So that they can resell them and make some side cash.
Yeah, And he's also got one thing. He's also got something else. It's like, oh, you have one of my books? Mail it to me. I'll send it back to you. And he'll also get it graded for you.
Oh, that's nice.
Scroll up one. It's right in the middle.
He'll sign it and ship it to CGC.
Yeah.
For $80.
Yeah. So any book he's got, he'll do it for you.
And I was just looking at this Red Sonja cover, $10,000. I don't have that sitting aside anywhere. But
I've heard a rumor that coming soon on auction at Huckabee's, Amazing Spider-Man 300 cover.
The Todd McFarlane one?
Yeah. I've heard it's going. They haven't announced the date, but I've heard that it's going to go up on auction.
What do you think that's going to go for? I mean, Todd's still around; he can still draw stuff.
Yeah, but it's the original thing. It's just like, well, I know Jim's Captain America cover 268. That one for $60,000.
I know Ethan had a stream this morning talking about something I guess Todd McFarlane was doing.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about. Todd McFarlane got pulled into this conversation about action figures and why he didn't make a whole bunch of girl action figures. And Todd just told it like it is. He makes stuff for boys, and boys don't want girl figures. They want manly men with guns and tanks and dinosaurs and robots and Todd was telling the truth.
Todd was telling a truth.
Now hold on. I said boys. I didn't say guys like us. I'm talking about little kids. He's making stuff for little kids. Little boys want.
Where is Todd making stuff for little kids? Because that was my point. It's like every Todd McFarlane toy I see in the toy aisle doesn't fit the budget of the mother of an 8-year-old boy.
Now I will say this also. When Todd's first toys came out, myself and some other guys, we went looking for them. We bought them all. The number one figure we were looking for, number one, was Angela.
Yes.
That was the number one we were looking for because they shipped one in each case.
Because they knew it wouldn't sell to boys. So it became a sought after item.
And then when the 12-inch figure came out, they sold out of that. I actually got one at Walmart. I was like, okay, I got one. But
every Todd McFarlane figure is $30. No mother's going to spend that on an action figure toy for her kid when there's GI Joes and other things over here for like $10 a piece.
Well, now, have you noticed the WWE figures are now $15 to $20 a piece?
Yeah, because they're becoming more detailed sculpts.
All these action figures, and they've gotten a lot better design of that, but they're just way, 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 way too expensive.
They're becoming an adult collector's market.
Basically.
Because they're getting all this greater detailed sculpt. They're doing the 3D scans of the actors to get better faces most of the time. At least for the wrestlers, they are.
And you want to know the manga book that everybody in the kitchen sink on Twitter is going, oh, how could you draw this? How is this selling? And that garbage. You know what the number one is? My Dress Up Darling.
Oh, yeah, I've been seeing a lot of headlines on that one lately.
Oh, it's
a Dress Up Darling?
My Dress Up Darling. It is a doozy. I actually have the first 4 volumes. But let me tell you the story behind this one. You have a guy who lives with his grandfather, and he designs clothes for dolls, female dolls.
I didn't hear you. Too many keystrokes. What's that again?
Okay. In this manga anime they're doing, the main character is this young guy. He's about 8. He's like a senior in high school, and his hobby is designing clothes for dolls because his grandfather actually sells them. So he's really good. He's a fashion designer. Fashion. No, it's my dog. So I was looking back. But the hottest girl, would you stop? The hottest girl in school wants to cosplay, finds out that he can make clothes. So she talks him into making her clothes. The problem is she has to go over to his house to get fittings, and so she has to strip down into, her underwear or so like that. And he's all nervous around her because he's very, he's not a...
He's a high school kid.
Yeah, he's a high school kid. And this is the hottest girl in school. But he ends up making these outfits for her, and more girls go after this guy to make them. And she actually, I think issue 4, she's already fallen in love with him. But he's making all the, and it's fan service all the way across. So of course, everybody over here is going to get on Twitter and go, oh, how can you do this? This is wrong. You shouldn't be doing this.
These are high school girls.
And I'm like, have you ever been to a comic book convention and watched all the girls that come in and everything? And then if you go to Japan, I have been to Japan, so I can actually say this from experience. On Sundays, go to Shinjuku Square. You will see every girl dressed up as some kind of anime character. And they spend thousands of yens on these clothes. Mm-hmm. They really go 100. They look just like the girls from the anime and the manga. They do. They go all out.
There's also another controversy going on over in Japan right now.
Wait, what's the name of this book?
My Dress Up Darling.
What?
MYDR.
No. Can you type it in the chat or in the private chat?
Yes, I get you taken care of here. It's my keyboard too that's loud over the microphone because it's the PC microphone I didn't plug in.
Because one of the other big controversies is going on over in Japan right now that's kind of involved in the anime and manga community, there's a particular makeup style that's popular over in Japan, where Japanese girls, as a way to kind of, for lack of a better term, I can't think of a better term for it, but denounce traditional Japanese beauty. They tan themselves. They allow them, they really tan themselves pretty deep. And that's been getting, I think it's called Gyaru or something like that.
They're going blackface?
No,
no, it's not. No, it's not blackface, but a lot of people believe it to be blackface. But it's an actual fashion trend in Japan.
They're using a cream to darken their skin when they get out in the sun. That's what it's called. And it doesn't black you. It makes you really dark tan, almost Native American tan red. And that's been going on for, good Lord, over 150 years.
Doesn't matter how long it's been going on. Once an SJW finds out about it, it was just invented, and it was invented despite people.
Yeah, because in Japan, the tradition is pale. The whiter the skin, the sexier the girl.
That's why the geishas go white.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And that's just the way it is. And you can tell, if you've ever been in Asia, same experience, you can tell the difference between Japanese girls, Korean girls, Chinese girls, Cantonese girls, Laos. You can tell the difference between the girls. Once you've been over there long enough, you can tell the difference. And there is striking differences between the different races. They're actually different races of Asian girls. They're not all the same. The Korean girls are usually taller than everybody else. They're tall. The Korean girls can get up to like about 5'11" in height.
Oh, thank God! I thought you were talking about like 6-7 feet tall.
Yeah.
No, that's my niece. She's 6'3".
Amazon Asians.
No.
I think we just invented a comic book title.
My niece is the picture perfect Viking woman. Blonde haired, blue eyes, 6'3", could pick you up in bench stress a Mack truck. Give her the sword, shield, the breastplate, and tell her to go charge. She'd do it.
She-Ra.
Yeah, I bet exactly. She could pass this. If you're going to cast somebody to play She-Ra, my niece. Yep, definitely. 100%. She could pull it off. She's got the legs for it too.
Hey, what else is going on in comics lately? Because my LCS guy threw out a phrase when I asked him what was selling in his store the other day. He says, "Well, DC's only got Batman and the Seven Dwarfs." That's what he calls their whole lineup, because it's like nothing but Batman and 7 other titles.
Oh, I'll tell you what happened with that little shindig. The great Superman, Son of Kal-El, has now dropped below the top 50 books.
Old news.
No,
and still selling great. Selling great.
No, Mark. It was at number 50. Now it's below 50.
Yeah, that's been going on for a while. I know Yellow Flash and I have both been reporting on that. So that's a bit cool.
But Tom Taylor will tell you it's still selling great.
Uh-huh.
Dude,
as long as both people still buy
I'm
it.
going to put it like this. If Warner Brothers really wanted to make money on comics, they'd hire somebody who loves comics to go in there and clean house. Mm-hmm. And I mean really clean house. And basically, this is exactly what I would do. I would go in, I'd have a meeting with everybody. I said, this is the way we're going to go. If you don't like it, we'll buy your contract out. You can go out the door right now. I wouldn't even give them a chance. It's either you follow what I'm going to do or you're out the door. And I'm going to cut it back to two Batman titles, 2 Superman titles, a Justice League, an Aquaman, a Wonder Woman, and a Teen Titans, and go from there. And I can put characters in the Justice League, and I can put characters in Teen Titans to fill in the other big stars. There's no problem.
I would go along with that, and also have a World's Finest. And the World's Finest would be not a World's Finest, Showcase. Showcase would be single story, single telling stories of the rest of the DC universe. This month it might be Green Arrow. Next month might be Hawkman and the Atom.
But see, the thing what I was going to do with like the Justice League. Well, Superman's got his titles, Batman's got his titles. Justice League, who's going to run the Justice League? Nightwing. Put Nightwing, Starfire, Power Girl, Martian Manhunter, Flash, Hawk Girl. There's your Justice League, and interchange characters to make appearances in each of the. Keep that as your core. And the same thing with the Teen Titans. You could do the same thing with Teen Titans. Instead of having Superman or Superboy, you could put Supergirl there. Because you got Power Girl up in one, put Supergirl in the other one. That gives you your mountain strength. And you could play Supergirl kind of like you would do the old Rogue back when she was with the X-Men. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you could easily work with it. You could easily do everything with it. You could turn it around. I would say in 6 months, you could turn DC Comics around into a profitable comic book company if it was done right. 6 months, easy.
Well, they also have to get rid of the identity politics baloney too.
No, I'm saying
they're doubling down on that again too with the
no,
Pride celebration.
what I'm saying is when you go in and do comic books, you're doing comic books. You're not playing politics.
Yep.
Okay, you're doing comic books. That's what sells. What's the number one thing that sells in comic books? Not diversity, not kumbaya. It's friction. It's war. It's somebody wants to do things because they're bad. Not this, oh, let's have this beautiful guy stand on the cover and look like a GQ model. No, it doesn't sell anything.
Now, Robert, I absolutely agree. If Batman sells more, the business decision is make more. If this is what the customer is buying, give the customer more of what the customer is buying.
The thing about Batman right now is they got 9 titles.
Yeah, it's going to set into fatigue.
Titles.
Well, even Yellow Flash has warned about the idea of Batman
You're
fatigue.
putting out 2 to 3 titles a week of Batman. It's not going to sustain itself. Sooner or later,
So when it slows down, they'll pull back.
Yellow Flash has been warning about the potential for Batman fatigue for a while now on his streams. Anyways, James, you and I have been dominating the stream pretty much. I think it might be a good time to give George a chance to chime in. Maybe give him the spotlight over here.
George, you awake?
I'm right here.
Okay.
I just figured it might be a good time to give you a chance if you wanted to say anything.
What are your thoughts, George?
First of all, screw wrestling. Second of all, the comic book. There's 2 ways to fix the comic book industry. One is to jump in while the changing of the guard happens. There's a lot of uncertainty, and at that point in time, what you do is you use middle management, and you Me Too everybody. So that way, by the time the new offices get put together, there's nobody there. And that way, you're the only one left in the company. As long as they don't know you're the only one there, you can have all the phones in one office, and you make sure you color every phone. You pick up the phone and say, hi, this is management. Hi, this is creative. Hi, this is production. And you'll be able to take care of business, because corporate executives, they just don't come down and dirty their hands. They're busy upstairs playing a mini golf in the boardroom and driving around the Porsches.
Well,
you got to take over payroll when you do that.
Now, if you can't do that, because it's such an easy solution, if you want to take the hard way, all you do is just let the books fly. Meaning, you flood the market with the SJW books, and you have 1 or 2 books out there, maybe 3, out of the 20 books a month that are well crafted, and then you just wait.
So you're saying maybe they should put out like 2 to 3 Son of Kal-El's a week?
I think they should flood the market with gay Superman every week. Gay Superman and his dog, gay Superman, and the Lois, the news reporter, gay Superman, showcase.
Superman's not girlfriend, Lois Lane.
That's right.
Well, we're dealing with a different medium now. It's not.
And then at the same time, you have 1 comic book, 1 Superman comic book, untouched by the SJWs, and then flood the market. Just flood the market. Buy, get it all on the store shelf space and all that stuff. What will happen is you'll have a lot of paper, that's going to a lot of books that are going to be wasted, a lot of books that cannot be returned, and they basically mulch. So what you do is take that paper that's those books that are unsellable, you send them to the recycle, and you can what we call cure the paper shortage.
There you go. Recycle that stuff.
The thing about it is, when you start doing this, and I'm going to say this is me saying it. Don't think anything of that. First off, if I'm going to take DC over, I'm taking it over. I'm not going to play upper management. I'm not going to play middle management. I'm going to play owner, boss. It's my company. The way I would
but that's a fantasy. You haven't come in on the ground floor as a mill boy.
No. If I'm going in, I'm going with millions of dollars. And what I'm going to do.
He's probably got it too. Just say.
I don't have that much.
Sell some artwork. Sell 3 pieces of artwork. You'll be in.
No, but here's the thing.
Wait, is DC still publicly traded?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's owned by Warner Media, which is now owned by Discovery. But
is Warner still publicly traded?
No, it's owned by Discovery.
And
Discovery publicly traded?
No.
Is any of these guys publicly traded?
No.
Oh.
Nope, they're all private businesses.
But this is how you do this. You go in to Discovery, because Discovery, right now, if you haven't watched what's been going on at CNN, Discovery's looking at CNN right now. Discovery's going in and cleaning house. That's why you've seen Don Lemon's not on camera. That's why you saw Cuomo and all those other people get fired. Discovery's not playing games. They want success. They want money. They want, So, in so doing, what you would do is go, hey, look, DC Comics, I'm talking about the movies, I'm talking about Warner Brothers, DC Comics is costing you so much in the red. I'm willing to take it off your hands, the comic book IPs and the comic book company, not the movies, the comic book, for this amount of money, and get you out of it. Take care of all the red. I'll take care of everything. You just hand it over to me, and I'll give you cash. They agree to it.
Yeah, but what's your track record?
Hold on. Once money-wise, it comes in, and I get the IPs, then I can go in and raise hell all I want. Because why? I'm the CEO. I'm the boss. I'm the owner. It's my money that's funding it. And if you don't like it, there's the door.
Yeah, he doesn't have to have a track record if he's buying it away from them. If he's buying away a loss leader.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Because Discovery wants money. They're not an American company. Okay, they're not a Hollywood company. They're a European company. They like to make money.
Now, is this not them?
I don't know.
Because this one is a publicly traded company, and they operate the Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, Science Channel, TLC.
Yeah, so they are publicly traded.
This one
is. So the plan is to buy as much Discovery stock.
No, I don't want anything to do with Discovery. I don't want to buy anything in Discovery.
But you can direct it through Discovery.
You go to Discovery and say, I want to take this off your hands, this part of your business off your hands, because it's in the red. And it's still in the red. Okay, all you got to do is point to them getting kicked out of that building. If they were making money and they were in the black, they wouldn't have got kicked out of that building. That is 100% fact. If they would have been making money and they would have been in the black and they were profitable, they'd have stayed in their building. They didn't do it. That's all you have to point to. And Discovery, if you give Discovery $5 to $10 million above the red line and take all the red away from it, they'd probably give you the IPs to the comics. They keep the ones.
Here's how to get the money for it. You start investing in Discovery. You tell people why you're investing in Discovery. You turn it into a meme stonk so that the price starts being controlled by all the comic fans who are investing into Discovery. And then when Discovery says, why are you doing all this? We can say, because y'all are not controlling DC Comics like the way you should. Right. And then you can make a stock trade for the company.
Yeah. But there's several ways around it. But once you get the company, then you go in and clean house. There's no upper management. There's no middle management. It's you. You can go in and do whatever you want. And if you go, I have 6 months of business of showing the sales of the books, and they continue on. It means you're not doing what needs to be done to make profit. I'll give you 6 months to turn it around. You don't get it turned around, you're fired. And that's the bottom line. So they got to come up with better stories, better art, and better sales, or they're out the door. And if they don't like it, I'll buy their contract out and send them home right then and there.
You have to start with a crisis, just to clean the whole continuity up.
Exactly. No. The one like with Superman, that's easy. That's easy to fix. You bring in a new villain that's overpowered, kills the boyfriend, beats the hell out of him, and just keeps beating him up for the next 3 or 4 issues, so he has to go get Daddy to save him. And in the end, they end up having to put the person, off the planet someplace. You do it dark.
I wouldn't do that. Just start over.
Or have Clark wake up and it's all a dream.
Yeah, Clark wakes up in the shower.
Yes.
No, he wakes up and looks over and sees Lois with a wedding ring on. He's like, "What? Did I just dream all that, or what?" No kids, no nothing.
That would be nice.
Oh yeah,
the idea, I think, as James was just putting it, the idea of waking up from the nightmare that was known in the multiverse as the woke universe.
No. Clark wakes up with what called Lois pulls that flower that makes him dream a whole lifetime.
Oh yeah,
Star.
Oh, the Mercy Plant. Yeah, I remember the Justice League Unlimited episode.
For the man who has everything.
Yeah.
That Justice League Unlimited was adapted from Superman Annual, written by Alan Moore.
It was the villain they used in Suicide Squad 2. Did that too.
Yeah,
Remember? Mongol put it on him.
There you go. There's your answer.
Sorry.
It's all been a Mercy Plant dream, put on the whole universe. Yeah, I'm for it. Let's do it. In fact, the DC universe hasn't been the DC universe we know since that issue. Superman only thinks he ripped it off himself. It was a dream within a dream.
That plant never came off.
Maybe such things as Superman being, horrendously violated.
No.
All that went away.
That plant never came off his face.
But when he wakes up, everything, all the Batman, the Nightwing, everything, it's all been in his head the whole time.
Yes, that's it. There you go. Let
me ask you guys this: then. Where would going back through the Golden Age, Silver Age, the Bronze Age, where would you guys?
What about the mutton chop?
Cut off the DC universe. Would you cut it off at 2011, 2016, sometime after that, sometime before that? Any other?
1985.
Oh no! When was that man for the man who had everything? What time was that?
2005, I believe. I believe it was 2005.
It's way too late.
No, that was the animated one.
No, for the man who has everything, Superman Annual number 11, 1985.
There you go.
Go all the way back to 1985.
Because that came out around the same time as Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, where Alan Moore wrote the 2-part Last Superman story.
There you go. Basically, John Byrne, Man of Steel.
Yeah. Right before John Byrne's Man of Steel happened. Right before Crisis and everything. So yeah, everything's been a fever dream of Superman from that. He dreamed that he realized the plant was on him. He ripped it off, but he only dreamed he ripped it off. He's still in the Matrix. No, actually, he's still got the plant on. The X-Men are still in the Matrix. Yes, the X-Men are in the Matrix because these villains that are playing their roles now are not the real X-Men.
The X-Men's a whole different debacle.
They're a mess.
You guys can still see and hear me, right?
The minute Claremont left the X-Men, it went downhill.
Yeah, but
you want to talk X-Men? You want to talk X? You know what? Give me a sec. Let's talk X-Men. I mean, like real.
That's a Twitter channel name if I ever heard one.
Let's talk X-Men. I mean, the legit X-Men, the stuff that is of legend. Give me a sec. I'm gonna pull something up here. It's going to be glorious. It's going to be 672 pages.
Oh, are we going to go into the Byrne verse?
We're going into the John Byrne verse.
If you really want to get into it, look at the movies of the X-Men and notice the debacle that they made when they focused on one character in the first movie, and by the time they went to the third movie, she was basically nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, just in case you were wondering, RJ, why I was asking if you guys could still see and hear me, I had I guess a temporary connection issue there where I was starting to freeze.
Like now? Yeah. Freezing like now? Yes, I see that. Looks like everybody froze.
Nope, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm looking over at the. Okay, so I'm not frozen now.
Oh, that was like he's sitting in the back of the chair and now he's up in front of the mirror. Yeah.
Yeah, he jumped hard there. I'm gonna change the alignment here so we can see this. Yeah, this is good stuff. What John Byrne's doing, and
all right, John Byrne.
John
Byrne has done over 600 and plus. I got 672 files so far from him. And ladies and gentlemen, this story here, if you don't know anything about it, on his forum, which we'll link to in the chat. And in fact, you know what? Let me just throw that link here, just real quick.
Say something in the chat, and I'll give you a hammer.
No, I'll put well. Here's on the private chat. Okay, so John Byrne decided to just do his take on the X-Men right after the big fights in the blue area on the moon, where Jean Phoenix never committed suicide, and everything just rolls from there. And
you mean where Cyclops blew her into oblivion?
Yeah, she never committed suicide. She forced Cyclops to shoot her. So here is I'm just gonna slowly go through it all. You can see.
Right,
you can.
Oh, damn, George!
No. I'm not going to slow down. There's 600 plus pages. You can just look at a master. Look at the design.
I'm trying to. You're going too fast.
You already know his artwork.
I saw MODOK.
You can see his design work. It's absolutely spectacular. You know, people say, John Byrne, your old stuff was better. No, John Byrne, your stuff is the best. Doesn't matter what time period. It's just gorgeous stuff. Look at that right there.
Now, is every file an issue or is every file an image?
It's a single image.
Okay, so he hasn't done like issues.
He's got 30 issues.
30 issues. Okay.
Divide 20 pages. 20 divided by 670. What is that?
You mean 20 times?
Yeah, 670 divided by 20.
That's 35, roughly.
So he's like at issue. Give me a sec. What issue is 31?
That's about right.
Yeah, 31. He's at issue 31 right now. He just finished at 32. We'll continue in April 8th.
Now, this is dedication to write that many issues of a comic book that can't be published.
But look at this. Look at this. I mean, it's amazing.
You know what that looks like? That looks like a comic book used to look.
Look at that. Yeah, look at that. Look at this double page spread. And it's only the top half of the double page spread that's like a double page spread. I mean,
he can't print this, but we can.
There are people who are actually going out of their way to ink this stuff, to learn how to ink because of this. There are people who actually package this stuff up and make their own personal hardcover books. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Oh man, look at that amazing Spider-Man right there.
Now, you talked about packaging them up. That reminds me of something that Michael Tierney brought up last night. Do you remember that, George, where he said he was packaging up books like Crisis into hardcovers and selling them in his store?
Yep.
And he took them to the retailers. He took them to Marvel and DC and said, look, people are buying these up. Every time I put one together, I can't keep it. Like, well, you can package up the material we gave you and sell it any way you want to, but you can't, start mass producing. It's like, I want you to. They both told him the market for reprints just doesn't exist.
Yeah. Those fools.
Oh,
Yes.
really? So that's Mark Silvestri, who's been reprinting Darkness and Cyberforce.
Well, now this was back in the late '80s. Now, so this was before they started coming back out with all the reprints and the showcase.
And the thing about it is, all these books now, everybody's buying the old stuff. They're not buying anything new. They're buying the graphic novels. Here's the Haunt Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3.
I picked up some old Vigilantes at the convention for $2 a piece for some good reading material, and maybe hoping that the Vigilante character in Peacemaker takes off. But I think if it was going to, it would have done it by now.
Well, I can tell you that when you go back and you read like the differences between like some of the older books, particularly when you go back to like what I've been studying back in the Golden Age, and now there is quite a bit of a difference in terms of how they speak to each other. It's something that
sure, because there was
it's something that Batgo and I were actually talking about on my stream the other night, where we kind of talked a little bit about this afterwards. With all this talk about like diversity and all that, it's kind of funny because one of the things I noticed as I was talking to Batgoat about it after my show and stuff like that, the way conversations went back there, back then, yes, you would have had more of the racial slurs.
By the way, this is John.
Let me finish, George.
Hold it, Mike. This is John Byrne's 3D model that John Byrne used to draw the plane. Continue, Mike.
Okay. While back in the 30s, where more of the racial slurs were more acceptable, unfortunately, whereas we wouldn't condone them today, they were still speaking more formal, aside from, of course, the sailor every now and again. People were speaking more formally back then. Now we don't. Now, and it also goes to show you just how much we've grown in that regard. That's why I don't believe in a lot of this SJW garbage, because I think we're a lot further along than they want to admit. Because
of course, if we are, then they have nothing to fight for.
Yeah, because the thing is that we're more casual with our conversation now. Like one of the lines I remember from the Sheena was they talked about, I think the word relate was used in casual conversation, right? The word relate, when you're relating something. Now, most of us today don't use the word relate.
Another 3D model. Just pointing out. Continue.
What was used, we don't use like the word relate today in normal casual conversation, whereas they did back then. Batgoat was kind of telling me they do still use it though in medical documents, because those are also legal documents. So you do see it still there. But in normal everyday, if you go back, RJ, you've been with me before too, on a couple of my streams, where you go back, you look at how they wrote and talked back then, how they do today, there is a drastic difference. And I think it also goes towards the whole idea. Yeah, back then, unfortunately, certain slurs were used more then, were considered more acceptable for language, whereas today we wouldn't accept them, But that was just something I kind of was noticing.
Yeah, and there was a war on.
Huh?
There was a war on too.
Oh, and remember though, I'm not even into the war quite yet. We're not into the 40s yet. We're just getting through 38. Now, granted, the war was going on in Europe, yes, but
classic Fantastic Four
hasn't even started yet for another year. But remember, we're still in November 1938. We're going to be looking over Feature Funnies Volume 1, number 16. This Friday, we're going to be reading The Clock and Espionage with Black X. We're going to be reading. We've basically been reading through works from guys like George Brenner, Will Eisner, Jack Kirby. But, you know, it's just, you see that there's a different, and I think it also does kind of stem in terms of how we even relate to each other a little bit here, you know, because back then you spoke more formally with each other, whereas today we do speak more casually, not necessarily saying that it's wrong or
we spoke formally. We wore jackets and hats. You know, we.
Oh, by the way, in John Byrne's story here, in the X-Men story, Mr. Fantastic takes care of the Sentinels once and for all by using his brain, creating a virus, and knocking the entire system offline.
Nice.
Permanently.
Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, there are a few things. There are a few things that I was thinking about. Yeah, I might bring up as kind of free. One of the other things too, I was thinking about too, because I just recently again started watching Static Shock, the Warner Brothers animation cartoon from it came out in 2000.
The good one, yeah.
Yeah, based on the Vertigo. And I was thinking about something because I just finished, because right now as part of my afternoon watching, I'm going through all the old DC shows, you know, in order. So I just got finished watching Batman Beyond. I just started on Friday Static Shock, and I was just thinking. Now again, I've never.
Oh, pause, Mike. Pause. Sorry, Mike. Robert Roberts in the chat says, "How can he release this if it's not Marvel's?" All this is original art that he draws, and he posts scans of it on his website. He's not mass producing it. So there's no copyright issue.
And it's free to download.
Right. Okay, continue, Mike.
All right.
What page is that?
This is issue 12, page 1.
For that page.
This is issue 10, page 20.
That's Rachel.
No, it's actually forgot who it is. It's not Rachel. It's not Rachel Summers. She's not. She's not in this book so far.
Yeah, she's not in the Elsewin series.
But that's her.
No, that's Lilandra.
Yeah, but that's the outfit straight from Rachel's original outfit when she first shows up.
Anyway, so going back to the Static now, again, I didn't actually read the original Static Shock comics, but from what I understand, the cartoon there had actually been based on the original Milestone comic.
Yeah.
But so as I understand it, in the original Static Shock story, as depicted on the cartoon, his mother was killed during what they called the Dakota riots. And how they handled that with Virgil was different from how Batman, of course, handled his tragedy, where Bruce had become somewhat more, bitter about it. Is maybe more darker. Where you actually, if you watch the Static Shock show, you did see a lot more sadness being portrayed there, and where Virgil at times would admit to he misses his mom. He sometimes feels like he's going to forget his mom. Also, even in how they handle some of the racial issues too, was a lot better than how they're trying to handle them today. Because, like when Virgil would start to team up with Anansi in Africa and having the black superhero as a role model, it wasn't like, let's put down other cultures because they put us down. No, it's like it dealt directly with the people involved. It wasn't like all this victimizing everybody, or everybody's got to be a victim. That's one of the other things that was kind of good about the Static Shock the original Static cartoon that I was talking about from 2000, is that I think they handled tragedy better. I think they handled race relations, I think, better. They acknowledged the evil of it, yes, but they didn't, without trying to make it sound like an entire race was really against them, Whereas now it's almost like you have all these people playing victim, trying to they're almost like trying to egg on a race war, you know. So that's just my 2 cents on all that.
This is some cool looking stuff. I can't wait to see somebody actually ink this and somebody color it, and then just have like an X-Men fan forum where it's all here. Just download the PDF. Click here to send it to FedEx Kinko's.
Yeah, you realize we're just past the hour and 50 mark.
Yeah, I'm gonna close up here in a second. I love seeing Wolverine back in the old Byrne costume though.
Oh, by the way, you want to see the origin of Wolverine? Byrne did his version.
Byrne's origin of Wolverine? Yes.
Yeah, give me a sec. We're getting there.
You know, I had an interview with Paul Jenkins where I asked him what it was like to have Marvel come and say, "Hey, we want you to give an origin to this guy whose biggest selling point has been that he's a mystery." And he's like, "Well, that was my idea." And I'm like, "Oh, let me pull my foot out of my mouth here." He went to Marvel with the idea to give him an origin rather than Marvel going to him and saying, "Do one."
Yeah, worst idea ever.
I still think so. Yeah.
Well, the thing to me about Wolverine's origin story is the closest. Now, I like the part where he was close with Sabretooth. That I liked, but I just it fell flat.
Yeah, it took away the mystery. I'm
talking about, it fell flat that the way. Okay, here he is. It's Agent Hunter. What do we do with him? To get him there, are you going to tell him going through the Civil War? Are you going to tell him going through the Indians War? You're going to tell him going through World War One.
Exactly.
I mean, you got so much to tell. It's ridiculous.
And I got you covered because what you just said is all answered in Byrne's version.
Oh, we read there.
Oh, back up. Where did red come from?
This is a variation. See this? This is the variation.
Oh, where Magneto got a hold of him?
So let's see. Here we go. We're coming into the Wolverine origin shortly. So what happens is Wolverine got fried so badly that his body is recovering, but his brain cells were burnt. So his memories were kind of, because memory is not cellular. It's more
chemical.
It's chemical kind of thing. So Shaman is going to use his magic. Basically, he's going to use the recording of Logan that he's got so far by magic, and put it back into the body of the recovering Wolverine. While that is happening, we're almost there. While that is happening, Vindicator and his wife. By the way, this is their new headquarters, which is the Sentinel base, because the Sentinels have been completely wiped out by Reed Richards.
Better than the Living Island. Oh, Jubilee.
So let's see, where are we? We're almost there.
I gotta go full screen with this. I just gotta.
No, you won't get any bigger. It won't get any
No,
bigger.
I did. On my screen, I did.
Oh, jeez.
On my screen, I took the StreamYard full screen. I can't see the chat now.
I'll send you the files. Relax. Oh, everybody on the planet's got these files.
This is just so beautiful.
All right, so this is where Logan gets fried because of creatures that the Shaman has imprisoned now. Oh, Dr. Doom, by the way. Oh, he's doing Dr. Doom, Fantastic Four, the Avengers. They all make an appearance in here. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So here is the origin of Wolverine. I'll just talk to it. All right, a long time ago, 1916 or something like that. Just a long
Picture
time.
it, Sicily, 1942.
A long time ago, the kid's saying to Sabretooth, don't hit my mommy. Sabretooth punches the kid and then kills the mommy, and then throws the kid into the river, hoping he die. Now the kid's found in the river by the what we call the Pilgrims and the Indians. They're brought to a shaman where he tries his best to recover the kid, and the kid grows up, and he knows that something's strange about him, so he does a pilgrimage north. He stays there for a long time, where he becomes sort of like a Bigfoot kind of guy, and he sees that there's a World War I happening, so he thinks that's his calling. So he enlists in the war. So that's him at the bottom in World War I. He becomes really, really good at it. And where he actually meets up with Captain America in World War II.
Wait, stop.
Yeah, he does
in
World
the
War
Marvel
I,
universe.
He does World War II.
But in the Marvel universe, Wolverine's existence is the origin of the word werewolf.
I don't know. But he meets up with Captain America. Blah blah blah. Side story. The problem is that he can recover and everything like that, but his bones are not adamantium. So while it takes time for him to recover, his bones take a lot longer to recover. The fractures in his bones, so it's painful. So he teams up with the invaders, and then he hangs out in Japan after the double bombing, where he loves the culture. Then he comes back to Calgary in Canada. He's a cowboy. He gets stampeded, and he is right now in traction for 20 years. And while his body is recovering, the Canadian government is now using him while he's in traction. They're using him as an experiment. And right now, Department H is about to ask Wolverine, do I have your permission to, take your bones out and replace them with adamantium claws? Adamantium, actually, not claws. And there's a Nightingale story with the nurse. And he says, yeah, do it. What I got to lose. So they replace one bone at a time over a long period of time. Eventually, he gets all his bones replaced. Side story. But there's a problem. It's very, very painful. His healing powers are constantly working overtime, healing the rejection of the bones in his body. And it drives him nuts. It literally drives him nuts. But on top of that, because the Department H wanted him to be a weapon, they also included 3 claws on each side of his forearm as a weapon. It's not a natural claws. These are mechanical claws.
So this goes back to the old Marvel Handbook of the Marvel Universe, where they actually showed the screws that held the claws in, not adamantium coated bone claws.
And how Byrne drew them.
Basically, you're talking about an origin that wasn't actually depicted in X-Men the animated series, where the thing just
none of this was depicted anywhere.
Yeah. Well, you saw the actual bones and the claws in the Days of Future Past original Byrne run.
Yeah.
And it was a very small panel too, but that small panel sparked a monumental, thought process. So here he learns, he experiences his claws for the first time, and that he's in pain, lots of pain. So what ends up happening is side story. Now he's fully Here's where it becomes big, guys. Very big. This page alone. He's fully recovered. He's in a lot of pain. One of the nurses says, "You know, you could." I'm paraphrasing here. He goes, "You know what? You can smoke marijuana to ease the pain." So in Burns' version of Wolverine, every time Wolverine was smoking with a stogie cigar, a little razor thin cigarette, all that stuff, it was marijuana to deaden the pain that he was experiencing constantly. And then
Marvel would never take that.
And then every time he would go nuts in his berserk rages because he didn't smoke up recently, and the pain started getting to him, and every little thing made him trigger happy. And that is the origin of Wolverine as told by John Byrne.
I like it.
And of course, he ends up meeting Heather and Hudson James,
Mhm.
and eventually they bring him into Department H. But this the part I don't like. Byrne used young Trudeau. He should have used the old Trudeau, Trudeau Senior, not Castro Trudeau. So his first mission is to go fight the Hulk, and then we come full circle. After the Hulk, he decides to leave and join the X-Men, where he goes off with the new X-Men to the island, and that's the entire story of the Wolverine origin as told by John Byrne.
Of course, that's a little different from the X-Men, the animated series.
Yeah, much. All right. Well, this has been fun, but guys, I do need to wrap this up. It's 2 hours in for me, and I've got to work tomorrow morning.
Hey, RJ, can I have a few minutes with you?
Last few pages here. And we're coming up to the last, the latest page. 2, 1, and that's it.
Love that castle. Oh, he's going to do a fairy tale story here. Nice.
That's it. We just went through 672 pages of John Byrne's version of the X-Men right after 137.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for popping in for a couple hours of discussion on wrestling and comics. I don't get the wrestling, but I know that the viewers do. So I just like to sit back and let you guys run with that for a while, which we will continue to do.
RJ, can I have a bit of post-game report with you?
Yeah, just a little bit there. We can do that. Anyway, folks in the chat, thank you again for popping in and watching us go on about stuff. None of this is ever scripted. We have no idea what we're going to talk about when we start this thing up. So everything you see is, what do you call it? Free range.
Generally speaking, I usually will come in with some ideas of stuff to bring up, but it's not like a full-on, like, as you guys can tell by how we engage, it's not like a full-on
completely organic
plan. Yeah, it's
completely organic. So it goes against everything I learned in the podcasting panel at the NWA Con yesterday, where they say, "Hey, let's have a plan." Our plan is we start talking. Anyway, folks in the chat, thank you so much for showing up. We don't have a show without you. And as always, while you were here, just hope you had a blast. Good night.
Take care.